call me what you want. I know you call me a failure. I know you call me with hatred. I know you call me rebellious. I know you say that I'm weak. I know it, look, I can smell it. My girl just gave me a son, and I know she think I'm gon' fail him. I know you call me a bum. I know you say I've been struggling.
Gotta set a little bit of a basis. If you've been following me for a minute, you know I do not cover albums. Albums are very subjective, and so I don't really think there's a lot to unpack there. I think if it's an album you like, it'll be an album you like. If it's an album you don't, it'll be an album you don't. And a lot of music doesn't necessarily move me like that. We're at this video, so you already know that that's not true for this. That's not true this time around. I followed the Back on Fig situation, saw the 26-minute video, and the homie Comics Corner, whose links I'll put everywhere that I can, asked me if I wanted to listen to the album on his stream. I said that's cool, so we sat, we listened, everybody dropped their 2 cents, and after me going through that experience with him and sitting on this album for a week, I honestly feel like this album's a little deeper than I think people realize, and I want to give people a little bit more insight, or at least my insight, I guess. So I'll give you my 2 cents, my personal opinion, and then we'll go through the actual review. I'll do song by song. I'm gonna let you know right now, this album to me was great. This is no misses, actually. I felt like initially going in that this album painted an impoverished picture, so to speak. It more spoke to things from the lens of what felt like initially like a black man in poverty. It felt like you were dealing with the inadequacies, talking about how people don't offer you a certain level of respect until you accrue a certain level of success. It covers many things, but also what gave me that feeling or that emotion is that he also talks about how when you grow up with people around you, you grow up in a hood is a community. Everybody know everybody. To me, it covers well how people feel like because they grew up with you, they know you, they can speak to you, not only you yourself, but your character, your full-fledged experiences. And this is something that's not new to me, given my upbringing. And songs like A Broken Winter Break, to me, presents like a mental challenge, so to speak, right? Because if you are someone that grew up in the hood, you grew up in the type of community, an urban community, you are in a space where, listen, this just happened, and nah, I ain't trying to go out like no bitch, but I don't really have time to deal with this. This ain't really my like situation. I'm gonna be here for right now. I'm gonna be gone in a couple weeks to a month, whatever the case may be. So you're kind of in a bind, right? You don't want to do anything that's gonna fuck up your future, but you also you're not trying to go out bad because the homies is here, the guys is here, and you only gonna be here for a minute. You hear in the transition from Faded Off Poor and Riches to Caucasian Estates, to me, you understand like the elevation, right? There's an elevation battle here where you start off on the porch, but the porch isn't where you stay. You get out, you leave that space, you do better for yourself, and now you're not around that community. You're not in the urban setting anymore. So now everything around you is changed. Now you can flex the whips, the crib, the chain, the fact that these niggas gotta press a button, gotta go through the gate before they get to me. Like you can't just walk up in my crib anymore. Some small little notions or small little things that I think were really interesting with the addition of what I initially thought was a locker actually sounds like little like screen door type joint. I'll put it on screen so you know what I'm talking about. But like if you go to like you go to apartments, you go to certain places like little like complexes and type of joints, they all have like they usually got the little white version. Most people don't have a black version. Well, they don't have a black colored version. I've only usually seen like the white version, and it's like that. It's that sound. It's that door that when you open it, it swing back and automatically close on you. That type of vibe. Like the album really resonated with me because it spoke to my experiences. He in Cali, Carson, I think, and I'm in Atlanta. 2 completely different lifestyles, you'd argue, but everything in this album resonated with me. I understand almost everything in this album, and even going as far as to say like my initial thought process being that it offers poverty through the lens of a black man, even that's changed. Like you see how it affects women as well. Because for me, originally, You Better was a song, or Jesus Take the Wheel was a song that felt like it kind of fell flat, right? It felt like it got away from what the album was structurally supposed to be, but it didn't. After sitting on this for a week and this being one of the only albums that I listened to during the week, it to me now more describes what happens when like the women in your life feel like you're getting away from a certain perspective. And to me, it kind of creates like a relative dichotomy that I'll get to, but in the initial upfront, you see like if you're hungry, if you're with your woman, with your wife, with your girl, whatever the case may be, and you do something that she's not necessarily a fan of, her homegirls will tell her like, hey yo, go find another nigga, drop him, hey, we going to the club, we gonna have this nice time, we gonna drown out all these negative emotions. And that's an urban mindset. That's urban logic. Urban logic says, I'm not gonna address the problem, we finna go put you up under somebody else so you can forget about that nigga. And that's something that to me keeps that linear story going, where initially I felt like it got away from. You hear the dichotomy, the contradiction almost that's in the urban mindset, that's in the hood mindset, where you hear them say like, oh, you need to get a nigga with money. You hear them say that multiple times in Fuck That Nigga and Gang Shit, at the end of Gang Shit. And then by the time you get to Gina, you hear people then commenting the same, or you hear not the same woman, but someone saying, we need doctors, lawyers, and burger flippers. Like, you hear the fact that like, if you're somebody that grows up on a porch or around porches in that urban space, in that urban community, you hear them say like, oh, we need all these things. Everybody can't be an entrepreneur, yet and still the prioritization of money is present over and over and over and over again. It's not something you just hear one time. It's something you hear multiple times. And then when they get on that grind and start putting themselves in that mental space, the negative space that it puts them in, you hear that in Call Me. You hear how everybody keeps telling you, you got to get money to get on. I'm not exactly sure what song it is, word for word, but there's a song in there. It might be Call Me as well, where he's like, you get money and then they respect you. You hear that mixed with the fact that all these things are supposed to go on. You're supposed to continue to get money. By the time you get money, they'll respect you. But before that, if you do anything that they don't like, you finna go find somebody else to deal with. We don't want to be around you. You hear, but once you get money and the women want to be around you, the homies that you grew up with might just end up treating you like how Reason was treated in Gang Shit, or like the picture that was painted in Gang Shit, which is they gonna claim to really know you and really fuck with you, but then at some point they might even downplay you and not treat you the exact same way because we grew up in the same spot. So you're supposed to stay the exact same place that they are. And in the midst of all of this, Rich Mirages comes in where you got money now, so your problems are supposed to be gone. You in the delusional aspects of it, where you could lose your touch with God if that's what you believe in. You're gonna lose the core of yourself in some cases, but at the end of the day, you're still the same person you are. You're just in a different scenario than you were before. Nothing, the core of you hasn't changed. Just a general moving of your surroundings may have improved. All the while, you got to go back home. Everybody around you still going through the same things. The homies still getting shot at. People still getting arrested. People still dying. Things still, like, life still progresses. Money doesn't change everything that goes on. It just makes certain things easier to deal with. I think that's the perspective that's offered. In the middle of this, in the middle of everything that goes on, regardless of how high you get, at the end of the day, you still just a nigga to a certain degree. Whether it's how the world's gonna treat you, whether it's how your friends, your family is gonna treat you. Some will gain respect for you, some are gonna hate you more. You might lose distance with your wife or your girl at that time. You're gonna feel those inadequacies due to just your own personal generalized insecurities. And at the end of the day, despite all of this that goes on, despite everything that's running through your mind and everything that you feel, every insecurity, every issue, every fan that's fucking with you and everybody that's not, if you make it to this point in the hood, you're the poster child. You're gonna become the one that everyone wants to be, because all they see is the outward success. All they see is everything you have. They view you from that point on as the poster child, the successful one, the one that made it out.